Good afternoon, everybody. My voice is absolutely gone. Jesus, after last night, voice absolutely destroyed. Yeah, what a night! What a night! It was what it was. Good show by both Khan. Good show by both Book. Here with me to break it down in only the way he can. Of course, yeah. It's one of my light-skinned brothers from another mother. Royalty is in the building once again, looking nice and alert, fresh trim. Of course, it can only be the king. Lord Riku is here and joining us. Riku, can you hear me? Riku, we're live. Let me drop him out. Hold on. Let me just tell him we're live before I bring him on. Jesus Christ. Riku, they're getting ready. I've just pinged him, letting him know. There you go. Afternoon, Riku. Let me put this in. If you want to ask Riku a question as ever, it will be hashtag Ask Riku. I don't know why he doesn't know we're live yet. What do you guys think of last night's fight? Here we go. Let's see if he clocks in. Sorry, I've been a bit taken aback by that. Okay, we're live. Yeah. Okay. Riku, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Riku. You need to sort out your mic or something. I can't hear you, Riku.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hey, did you know that I already introduced you? We're live, man.
Hello.
We're here. We're live. I introduced you already, but you look like I didn't. It didn't look like you were ready there. I've jumped the ship a little bit too early, Riku. I apologize. Sorry about that. Riku? We've got some sound problems. I'll bring him back in a sec. 1 second. I'll bring him back in a sec. Sorry. 1 sec. Sunday morning sound issues. Can everybody else hear me okay in the chat? Just before we go, can everybody else hear me all right? Just give me a sound check. Let me know if you can hear clearly. In the meantime, I can hear myself fine. And let me just check my own live. In the meantime, it is what it is. Guys. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Khan destroys Mind Games Brook. Brook destroys Mind Games Khan. It is what it is. It is what it is. I tell you what, while we're getting... Excuse me. It's all going on. While we're getting ready for Riku to pop back on, Riku, just give me a... Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, sorry about that. Right, and bring Riku back in. Riku, you there? Unmute yourself.
Yes, I am indeed. How are you?
There we go. Right, let me just run through the shocker that we've had, right? So first and foremost, I've been sitting there waiting for Riku for about 5-10 minutes, but I forgot to send him the fucking link here to the damn chat. So I was sitting there thinking, hold on a minute. Riku's normally always on time, yeah? So why is Riku not? Riku's normally the first one to turn up. I was like, oh shit, I haven't even sent him the link. So I sat here waiting, and then it was just a fucking disaster from here. Riku, glad you're here. I've already done the intro for you, all right? Luckily, no one's turned up yet to watch, so they haven't quite caught hold of our technical issues. 35 in the chat. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Riku, who did you pick to win this fight? Brook or
I had Brook from the beginning. I've been a Brook fan most of my boxing interest life, and I also just thought that he'd have more left in the tank. I just thought the inactivity and the preparation by Khan of fighting Billy Dib and also being in the kebab commercial was enough. Once you're in a kebab commercial, you're not winning a fight. That's my rule of thumb.
Once you're in a kebab, well, guess what? Courtesy of Riku, I'm gonna have to play this again when more people are here. But I finally got the video. This is the moment, yeah, where we knew Amir Khan was gonna get himself KO'd.
Donna is bad.
I played all day.
Donna is bad.
Also, a longer clip, which I couldn't find, where he said it's so clean and so tasty and so healthy. I'm not sure your nutritionist would agree, but here we are.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. People, I'm saying people talking about mind games and the gloves are off, but little did they know, Amir Khan was in kebab shops, innit, testing out dollars. It was only down here from there, Riku. Tell us what you thought about the fight.
I thought Brook, when he caught him in the first round, I thought that was sort of game over. But it felt like Amir hadn't adjusted to not having the speed he's had before. So essentially, he was fighting like he would have fought in his prime without realizing he's not in his prime. I thought it was a good event, great build up. When you see stars there, it's it's a big event. And I mean, we all knew that it was a bit of a gimme fight. It's two fighters in decline. But I just thought Kell Brook had a lot more left in the tank. I thought it was quite an entertaining fight. Amir showed his heart as always. I've never been a fan of people calling him Chenny or anything else because he's always shown the heart of a lion, and he did that until the end, and he was stopped on his feet. But yeah, I thought it was an entertaining fight, and it was exactly what you want from a build-up like that. You don't essentially want fighters just measuring their jab and, being at range. I mean, both fighters were there to try and take each other's heads off. But unfortunately for Amir, he got caught so early that his legs were going after the first round. He rallied back in the second round, and, that one was close. But Kell Brook had every other round.
It's very, very interesting. People say that Khan got done by a jab, and I said that as well. But if you look at Brook, and I said this about when Crawford done Brook, what you got to remember about Crawford and Brook is they are two-handed. And something I said in my fight preview, because Kell Brook is two-handed, he has a bad habit, right, which he tries to use to his advantage. When Kell Brook throws the right hand, you probably saw last night, he's always falling in off that right hand. But one thing he does do is because he's two-handed, right? Because he's two-handed, he throws the right hand and falls in off it. But then he turns it into a southpaw left hand. He turns his what would be his orthodox jab into his southpaw left hand. You know what I mean? He falls through on his right hand, but then it's almost like he's switching stance. And what looks like a jab, right, is actually really a southpaw left hand that he's throwing straight down a southpaw lead. So you got to remember with Kell Brooks and that shot that Khan took in the first round. That was if you look at that, Brook nailed him. It was like almost like a sort of an up shot, an up jab, up lead left hand. But Kell Brook, like I said, for me, Riku, I just feel this fight to me proves that, look, Amir Khan had the better career. Amir Khan fought the better opponents. Amir Khan made more money. No one's disputing that, right? But for me, it just shows that Brook is, and always has been, in my opinion, the tidier fighter with more weapons. A guy who doesn't just rely on reflexes. A guy who's two-handed. He can switch mid-shot. He's got more power. He's stronger. And I just think he had more textbook fundamentals, and I think that showed last night, Riku.
No, I think he's people talk about the Ingle style, but Brook is not an Ingle style fighter. He's very textbook, as you said. His technique in punching is sort of very orthodox, clean, throws textbook punches. And the other thing he has is his timing is immaculate. And also he always is in tempo every shot he throws. So even with the jab, he's trying to hurt you. He isn't trying to measure the range. He isn't trying to do, he isn't trying to just jab to keep you at bay. He's actually trying to hurt you. And I thought jab throughout his career has been one of his best weapons.
Before we move on, let's just go on with it. Eubank. We'll start with Eubank. Kell Brook's going to fight Chris Eubank. There's no doubt in my mind that Kell Brook is going to. I had two things last night. What I wanted to hear from Brook is this will be the end. What I heard from Brook is if they're going to offer me millions to fight Chris Eubank, I've got 3 young daughters and I'm a prize fighter, so I'm going to take it. That's what Brook said. So I'll think. So Brooks. I think Brook going to see Brook in the ring there with Eubank, and I think Eubank will get him out of there. And we'll talk about Conor Benn in a second and Amir Khan. But what do you think? I mean, I'm begging Kell Brook. I messaged Richard Poxon yesterday and I said, Richard, because Richard knows Kell, and I said, tell Kell, do not get in the ring with Eubank. That's going to be a sad day, Riku, when we have to see yet another faded British legend, get mopped up by the man with no jab, aka Chris Eubank Jr.
You mean next gen? 32 years old, next gen. Yeah, next gen.
Next gen, but he's already getting hair transplants. Well, someone tell me about that. How that works.
If he's next gen, I'm next gen, you next gen. So we all have hope, right? I think the thing about Kelly is one of the biggest advantages he's had throughout his career has been his size advantage and strength. And Eubank is the bigger guy. So even against Triple G, he boxed really well, and he was hitting Triple G with some good shots. But at the end of the day, Triple G is just so much bigger. And I think Eubank Jr. is he's sort of in between. A bit below 160 is probably his ideal weight. If they make the fight of 160, it provides no advantage for Kell. So I believe that they should sort of make it 156, 155 if they're going to give Kell any chance. But if it's a 160, he has no chance. Eubank's just fresher. And also the work rate he'd put Kell under, make him work and come forward and throw a lot of punches. Kell Brook isn't designed for that. He's better with somebody that's a boxer rather than somebody that comes at him, shows a lot of volume punching. A bit like Carson Jones, right?
Listen, I mean, Dominic Ingle thinks Kell Brook's got the beating of you. Let me tell you one thing about, first and foremost, if Kell Brook does fight Eubank, right, I want it in writing from Ben Shalom, right? I want Ben Shalom to get this in writing. That if Chris Eubank cannot beat Kell Brook, if Chris Eubank cannot beat this version of Kell Brook, that has to be the end of Chris Eubank Jr. now. That has to be a loser leaves town match. I never want to see Chris Eubank and that dodgy beard on my TV screen ever again if he can't beat a shot Kell Brook. The one thing I will say about Kell Brook, against Eubank, even though I think Brook will get wiped out, Chris Eubank Jr. has no jab. Kell Brook has one of the best jabs, and he still has a very, very good jab when he uses it. Do you know what? Honest to God, if you told me, Ultra, Kell Brook will have his legs underneath him. Let's just say someone gives Kell some juvie juice. Let's just say Kell gets some of some magic rejuvenation juice and turns up with his legs. I will go for Kell Brook on points in that fight, straight up, and I will say that on record right now. Kell Brook has legs in that fight. I'm going with Kell Brook on points, but I think he's done. Let me ask you, Riku, about this. This man, what's this man got against old people? This man, Conor Benn. Let me play you. Actually, before I play you a video, I'll set the video up. Riku, what's this man, Conor Benn, got against old geriatric people? He's now calling. Who's he now calling out? He's now calling out Kell Brook. He's been slagging off. Conor Benn's been slagging off Amir Khan for the best part of the last 3 months, basically saying Amir Khan's a coward. 2 minutes later, he's in Amir Khan's dressing room, shaking his hand, saying he's agreed that he's going to go after Kell Brook for him, Riku. I mean, this guy's just unbelievable, in my opinion.
Well, I thought that Chris Algieri was an up-and-coming fighter, so surely he's not calling us old fighters.
He hates old people, did he?
No, I mean, look, I think he thinks it's a big payday. He's seen the event. He's seen how many people have been, how the event was sold out and, people clamoring for the fight. So he thinks he can steal the name at the end of the day. I wouldn't be surprised if he's calling out Amir Khan soon and says that Amir Khan has more left.
Right, let me quickly play the video, Riku. Look, this is the only man. This is the only man who's more dangerous in care homes than COVID. Conor Benn. Who's more dangerous in a care home? About COVID or Conor Benn? Conor Benn.
Maybe Dillian White. I mean,
we'll talk about him in a minute. Yeah,
he did try and drag Michael Grant out of retirement, so that says everything you need to know.
He is absolutely lethal up in there. Let's have a look at this fall here. Hold on.
I'll take care of it.
There you go. I'll take care of him. Yeah, I'll take care of him for you. Yeah, I'll take care of him for you. Listen, I'd love to see Conor take care of that European title and fight Avanesian. But anyway, carry on, Miki.
Somebody, I think, unbearable. Yeah, I'm ambiguous about him. I mean, look, he's playing a character, and isn't that what Matchroom's all about, having these characters? And I find he's playing this. When he came to the UK, if you remember his first few fights, he wasn't speaking as much as a geezer back then, was it? Then he sort of changed into this focused, deadly, killer kind of guy, like his dad, or, he's changed his personality. But people are clearly buying that, right? So he's doing what he can to feed his family. I don't find him unbearable, but I'd like to see him fight against somebody decent, because if you look at the guys that Jerome Ennis or, Virgil Ortiz has been fighting, and, these young fighters from the US, that's different gravy who they fight against. Even the likes of Ryan Garcia.
Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn's game plan is hope Errol Spence moves up, because Terence Crawford's already talking about going to 154. Just for the record, you know, Crawford's already talking about a possible move to 154 if he can't get a fight with Errol Spence. So Eddie Hearn and fucking Conor Benn are gambling on one of or both of Spence and Crawford moving up, yeah, and getting it done. Unfortunately for them, Al Heyman and PBC have a fucking lock on that welterweight division. So unfortunately for Conor Benn, yeah, it will be a Conor Benn versus Ugas, or a Conor Benn versus a Jerome Ennis, or a Conor Benn versus somebody. So we'll have to see.
Even the problem I often find with this is if you don't fight against decent opponents, is even if he manages to win a vacant title, the first time he has to defend it, a bit like Kell Brook.
Exactly.
You fight against Sean Porter, then you fight against Kevin Bizier and Jojo Dan, then you fight against Errol Spence. That's a big difference, Cap. You know, they're not capitalizing because they don't trust their guys to actually win these fights. The only thing they're hoping is they can get a title and stick it on pay-per-view. But now that they're not on pay-per-view anymore, DAZN will have its pay-per-view. But essentially, the model isn't anymore to try and build as many pay-per-view stars as possible. It becomes a lot harder to attract these guys to fight on DAZN, but also we need names so that people subscribe to DAZN, and Jojo Dans and Kevin Biziers and those type of guys.
And Chris Van der Heerdens, who apparently is going to be his next opponent.
Well, those kind of names, even if Conor Benn's fighting against them, I mean, who's going to subscribe just to watch Conor Benn fight against somebody you've never heard of?
They're in big trouble. I know. Russian billionaires just taking them out of debt this week, Riku, by plowing another 3-4 billion into them. But in my opinion, like I said before, I don't know what you think, but
well, it's like throwing bad money after, good money in the sense that if DAZN goes bankrupt or DAZN stops existing in the UK and US, then the valuation of the company goes down massively. So essentially what they're trying to do is to make something that's relatively viable so they can sell it off, because he needs to get his money back somehow.
I'll go to some questions in a minute. I do want to ask you something else, and I completely forgot at the minute. Yeah, here it is. What did you think about Kell Brook hugging Amir Khan after the things that Amir Khan said about him? I've been quite controversial in this. I'm quite a forgiving person, but I think Amir Khan crossed a big line with some of the stuff he was saying. I don't know what you think about the press conference and the stuff in the run-up.
Yeah, I think he did cross the line. I personally think it's bad for boxing. Boxing doesn't have to come across as sexist, homophobic, racist, misogynist, whatever else isms you want to add. And I think in a big fight like this, it does nobody any favors. Some of the language that Khan was using, it doesn't help to build up the fight. We're not back in the 1980s, and generally, I think it's just not good for the sport to do that. Like, no one benefits. So I agree. And to your question about hugging after the fight, I don't think Kell would be hugging him if he lost, but he won. So it's a bit of those one-up kind of things where he thinks,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
I'm better than you, so I can, give you a bit of respect.
I'll just quickly say shout out to Sad Ken, who's now showed his face. This is a guy who was telling me in a fucking chat about fucking, what was he saying? What were you saying, Sad Ken? Tell us what you were talking about. What was that chat you was coming out with? You were saying Khan was in Brook's head, yeah? And that Brook's going to fight angry. You were chatting some real shit, weren't you? Chatting some real shit. Yeah. I see you in the comment section. Carry on. These dudes are chatting some grade A toilet shit, man. Anyway, at least you showed your face.
Too much into press conferences, genuinely. Like, if I don't know somebody, I can't judge whether they're annoyed or not just because I'm watching them on screen wincing. Yeah, I mean, Luke Khan probably had the upper hand with Chap, but Kell isn't exactly the next Isaac Newton, is he? So he's not going to come back with anything witty.
So Sad Ken says, "Oh, there's no need for that." Hold on a minute. Well, but you jumped in. But you did jump. I did tell. But no offense, you did jump on me though in the chat, didn't you? About 150 times, and you kept telling me I was wrong, though, didn't you? You did say that, didn't you, Sad Ken? Come on, you can't now that you lost that one. You can't just blah blah blah. ask for mercy or anything. Come on, man. You was insistent, weren't you? You was in that chat. Super insistent, weren't you? This, that. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, ultra, this, that. I was like, okay. All right. All good, bro. All good. All good. I don't know. For me, yeah, Rick, I was going to ask. Oh, Sadken says you got emotionally invested. Okay. All right. Did I? All right. Maybe I'm a bit too emotionally invested in the block button. That's why I keep hitting it every 5 minutes. This guy was chatting nonsense, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway, it took him 24 hours to show up, so at least he turned up eventually. By the way, shout out to Billy Nelson, by the way, who done his bollocks in on Khan. I go. Billy Nelson went for Khan by stoppage, and David A went for David Hay, the harbinger of doom. Khan on points.
You know what Shevin was saying? Shevin was saying to me he saw what David Hay put and he put money straight away on Brook. So
yeah, he did. He did.
I think the strategy for betting is we should start our betting show, which is essentially we watch and see what Billy Nelson says and what David Hay says, and then we bet based on that.
Let me tell you something about Billy Nelson. He blocked me, innit? I told him, innit? Billy Nelson. He's another one. Billy Nelson told me on Twitter, Billy Nelson told me that I was full of shit and that he was winning more money in bets than I made in a year, right? That's what he told me. So I said, all right, then, let's start tracking your bets then. I'll bring up a spreadsheet, right? I can't even use Excel, but I'll learn how to use Excel and I'll do a spreadsheet and I'll start tracking your bets. And all of a sudden, I got blocked by Billy Nelson, innit? But unfortunately for him, we can still see what's going on, innit? Every big fight, I still track his picks. He's been wrong all year. I don't think he's got a fight right this year, Billy, not a big one. He went for AJ to batter Usyk. He went for Khan to stop Brook. I don't think Billy Nelson's won a guy all year, but it is what it is. Just to say, Riku, the whole thing with mind games and the gloves are off. I don't know what people are going on about. Is this obsession with mind games and who says what and who looks at who, Riku? I don't understand it.
It's just content at the end of the day. They don't, they're professionals, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you think, even if it gets personal, do you think they're going to let the emotions get the better of them? I'm sure they've had it in the amateurs and all their careers where they've essentially dealt with a lot worse than what's going to be said on a TV camera. I think mind games work when you're doing things like Klitschko used to do, where you put someone in a shitty changing room, or you put them in a hotel, and where you're actually making their lives uncomfortable. But saying something on a press conference to try and sell the fight isn't going to sway the fight. Come on.
Yeah, what about the Tony Belly? He's a real master of mind games because he put Ilunga Makabu in the toilets. I don't know if you ever remember that. The famous footage of Ilunga Makabu, shadowboxing in the fucking toilet before his fight with Bellew. I don't know where they put this man. They had this man they didn't give this man no change room. They had him changing in the cupboard. I don't know what he was doing. It was embarrassing. He's coming back, by the way, Riku. You'll see him back in the ring very soon.
Well, so have people been speculating for a while. We've seen him on Instagram training again, ready. I think he's begging for Jake Paul or somebody to fight against him because he keeps on calling them all sorts of names on social media in the hope that they know who Bellew is. They probably just think it's some angry Scouser calling them names. So
obviously, they probably think it's an episode of Brookside every time he starts it open up. Yeah, let me ask, do you think, quickly on Bellew, do you think he's blown his money by any chance? Do you think he's blown it? How much did he get? How much did they say he get for Usyk? Some people were saying he was getting like 4 or 5 million for Usyk. I'm not sure about that, but
yeah, but your team takes a cut and everybody else, and you have taxes, and I don't know. I mean, it's pretty hard to say whether somebody's blown their money. I don't think fighters often come back because they've blown their money. I think it's probably more a case that the kids are at school, the wife's at home, Bellew wants to be in the limelight, he misses being in the gym. So I imagine he'd come back just to have that one more training camp and one big event and everything that goes around it.
It is what it is, right? Someone's saying he's training for Creed 3. I don't know if they're taking the piss or if that's legit, but it is what it is. Let me ask you one last question on this Brook and Khan thing for a sec, Riku. The gloves scandal. Kell Brook apparently said that he was told last night if he didn't change gloves before he got into the ring, he would not get paid. I have no idea what was going on. Now, he seemed to indicate that his flyer gloves were pre-approved. That's what he seemed to indicate, but I don't know what's happened. I mean, we saw Robert Smith from the BBBOC. I'm starting to think that maybe Kell just took a pair of gloves into the ring that weren't approved, but Kell said it was all cleared. He said it was all cleared, but it was bizarre.
Why wouldn't you do them in the changing room and then they do the X, once they, when they do the gloves and they do the wraps they sign and then they tighten the gloves and they do the X so you can't change them. Like, why wouldn't you do that before? I just thought it's really unprofessional. Like, if I was Khan's team, I'd be like, no, we're not having the fights until we check the gloves and everything else.
I just think the whole thing was absolutely bizarre. And unfortunately, because Brooks won, we can't get to the bottom of it now because Brooks not going to talk about it because he's won. But they were trying to push him on it last night. I would love to know the details of what happened, what gloves were actually approved and signed off, what gloves he took into the ring, and what was going on. Did you think Khan was? Look, Khan's a warrior, so I don't want to disrespect the man. But on the walkout, to me, I think he knew there was a good chance he was going to get taken out. That's my opinion. I think he looked a bit off on the walkout to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he knew throughout the fight week. I mean, he's the one that's in training camp and he can recognize his speed isn't there. He obviously saw that Brook made the weight quite not comfortably, but he made the weight.
He did. No, he did, Riku. He was on it all. Yeah. He was on what? He was 150. He was literally Ben Shalom said he was 152, right? Like days out from the weigh-in. Brook was on target weight. Simple as that. He was on it all week.
Makes the weight more or less, but it's more a case that how much it takes out of him. But you probably saw the shape of Brook, and he didn't look like gaunt like he has looked before. So I think essentially Brook trained for this fight like this is the fight of his life. Khan trained for this fight a bit like it was a payday. So I think Khan knew there's a good chance that he'd lose the fight, but then again, every fighter knows. I mean, every fighter walking in the ring, regardless of who you are, at a certain level, thinks there's a good chance. But I think Khan knew that he's not what he was before, and he knew that essentially he'd get humiliated when he loses.
Sorry, I muted myself by mistake there, guys. 130 plus in the chat, 30 likes. Fucking hell.
Subscribe, like, how hard is it? Come on, guys.
Oh my god.
We're giving up Sunday afternoons, so come on.
These guys, 144 in the chat and 32 likes. 144 people here, 33 likes. Please, listen, man. Listen, don't let me have to send BLM down after you, okay? Don't let me have to send Johnny Cochran after you. Please hit the like button, and if you can, please
Cochran. One more thing, Shevin said about Belly blowing his money. Does anybody have access to his OnlyFans, and can they check?
I tried to check last night. I tried to check last night, and he ain't got nothing. I tried to check his OnlyFans last night. For some reason, I'm not even sure if it's still up. If someone has it, can someone send me a link to my email address? Yeah, if Bellu's OnlyFans is still going, because I can't find it. I was going to say something about Amir Khan. Yeah. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of Amir Khan based on what he said. Listen, he's had a better career than Kell Brook. He's made a lot of money. But you know what? I had someone come on last night and they think this will define Khan. Like, this is what people remember Khan for. Do you know what? I don't believe it. Do you know what? I really don't believe people. I think, listen, people are very fickle, right? You know, from following politics, these news stories, people get out, especially on social media, where people have got very short memories and they want to go from one outrage to the next outrage to the next outrage. These things blow over in days. And I honestly believe, in the next week, it'll be fine. Nobody will remembering Khan. They'll know. They've already knew that Khan and Brook were both shot to bits going into this fight. So I don't think it's going to take away anything from Amir Khan. To be honest, I don't think that people will always remember Amir Khan as the guy who got knocked out by Kell Brook. I do think people remember Amir Khan as one of the greatest fighters that Britain's ever produced. Amir Khan, honestly, he fought. Pretty much. I always thought he avoided Brook. To be honest, I'm going to be real with you. I always thought he avoided Brook, not because Amir Khan's not scared of anybody. He jumped in with Canelo. He'll jump in with anybody. But I think he didn't want to lose to Kell. That's my opinion.
I agree. And he didn't want to give Kell the satisfaction of being the best.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that was about.
I think this will define Brook. It won't define Khan. Look, Khan just pulling up his record. He fought against Barrera, Kotelnik, Salita, Malinaji, Maidana, Judah, McCoskey, Peterson Ways, Rob, Danny Garcia, Collazo, Devin Alexander, Chris Algieri, Canelo, Terence Crawford. Like, he's got an amazing record.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really don't. So for the Khan fans out there, like I just say, like, because we had one call in last night, and I just thought, look, I just think I don't want to sort of rub it in. I've got a lot of respect for Khan. I wanted Brook to win, obviously. I wanted Brook to KO him, but I've got a lot of respect for Amir Khan. And to be honest, for me, like I said before, these things all died down. Let me tell you something quickly. As a content creator, Riku, we know how long topics stay hot for and how long they don't stay hot for. Because don't forget, guys, we're content creators. Like, we know from the number of views, the number of people that are coming to the live, the number of people that were interested. Let me tell you something. If there was any chance, that this fight was going to quote unquote define. I hate talking like this because you sound like one of these fucking noobs who always keep yapping on about resume and legacy. But if for 1 minute we thought this was going to define Khan's legacy, trust me, I'd be beating the drum on this topic and getting in the likes of subscribers week in, week out. But I'm telling you now, you see on Monday, guys, these videos are going to stop. I'm not going to be talking about this fight past Monday because everybody's going to forget about it. And after Sunday, it's old news, So don't worry. If you're an Amir Khan fan, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to define Khan's career. I'm telling you, it's not. I'm telling you, by Monday, people are going to forget Riku, and people are going to want to talk about the Can Man. Carry on.
I mean, look, Brook doesn't have many. Brook doesn't have many signature wins, does he? I mean, when Sky got those resumes up and Brook's signature wins, essentially we remember Sean Porter. And we'll remember Amir Khan from his career as his signature wins.
Yeah.
Khan will have a lot more. I mean, that Maidana fight is one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life, right? He's had so many big names he's fought against. He's fought at big events. He spent a lot of his career in the US. I think we'll remember Khan as one of the first people to leave Great Britain, train out in the US and fight on their circuit on Golden Boy shows and become a star in the US. So I think a lot of these fighters these days owe a lot to Amir Khan in terms of what he's done for British boxing, and I think he'll be remembered that way.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But what I don't agree with, Riku, is 184 people in the chat and 44 likes. Listen, I'm going to tell you one more time. Please hit the like button. Don't take the piss. 181 people, 45 likes. What is this? We're not running a charity store. Me and Riku here aren't in this. Me and Riku don't work for the Salvation Army. All right. Otherwise, if this carries on, honestly, I'm going to turn on the super chat. Yeah. What is it they do on other channels, Riku? What is it? They see what they do. They go, oh, I can't see the comments. I can't see no comments. Oh, hello. We've got a comment coming. It's for £20. Oh, thanks very much. Blah, blah, blah.
£5 for a comment. Thank you.
£5 for a comment. Otherwise, we're going to make this channel pay to play like the other channel. If that's what you want, if you want me to make this channel pay to play, or you have to pay, to get a comment in, right? Then that's what's going to happen. I'll let you know. Right. What was I going to say? There's one more point I wanted to make, and I completely and utterly forgot it. And it was a really, really good point. Riku, this is my closing point, my closing argument on Conor Brook. Let this be a lesson, Riku, in my opinion, to all these people who keep banging on about resume. I had some stupid discussions with people in the run-up to this fight. Oh, if Brook wins, Khan will only be his second best win, and look at Khan did this and Khan did that. Listen, pieces of paper do not win fights, all right? Styles win fights, stronger guy wins fights, faster guys win fights, guys who punch harder win fights, the guys with better technique win fights. It's got nothing to do with pieces of paper. And I think those people who are looking at pieces of paper and looking at box rec, like I said before, but you can look at box rec all you want and look at Kell Brook's resume, yeah? You can look at Kell Brook and go, he only fought Alvaro Robles, or he only fought Frankie Gavin. That resume is not going to show you that Kell Brook, is one of the best timers of a punch in boxing still. Kell Brook has one of the best timings of a shot in boxing. That resume won't show you, that Kell Brook is a two-handed puncher. Right hand, left hand, can switch in between punches and shoot. That resume is not going to show you that Kell has one of the best jabs in boxing. So resumes don't tell you about technique, right? Resumes are good for gauging experience, how experienced a fighter is. Resumes do not tell you about technique, and technique, right? Power and physical attributes win fights. So sorry, Riku, to butt on. Carry on, Riku. Sorry.
I was just going to say about Kell. After that Porter fight, I think he was the second best welterweight in the world at that point, and I think he would have handily beaten Danny Garcia. Lots of other of the guys in the division. So Danny Garcia was quite hot back then. Spence was somebody that would have always caused Kell trouble.
Absolutely.
His strength and everything else. But Kell Brook, talent-wise, is one of the best fighters ever to come out of this country. And his style matches very well with American fighters, while all British fighters don't. I think Khan was never at 147 the same force he was at 140. But at 140, I mean, Khan was an amazing fighter, so we shouldn't forget that. I mean, he stepped up weight classes and got ironed out, but, you know, bad matchmaking and career management, you know, Kell fighting against Triple G, that was the end of that, his career at his peak. But, you know, you can't look at Kell's resume and measure him as a fighter. I mean, I'd put him against any 147 fighter, apart from Mayweather, when he was at his prime, and I'd favour him.
Absolutely. I just think Brook had the attributes. Right, let's move on. We've got Andre the Giant here. Shout out to Andre the Giant. Let me tell you, Andre the Giant on Monday. If Dillian White hasn't signed that agreement on Monday, you know what? Let me tell you something. If Dillian White hasn't signed this agreement on Monday, I'm gonna come on this live. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna let Andre come on. Then Marco's gonna come on. Then Abdullah's gonna come on. I know what's gonna happen. I'm not even gonna have to say anything. I know what's gonna happen. These guys, are chomping at the bit. Right, let's get this on. Riku, 24 hours to go, just about. What I've been told, not by any sources, what I'm being told by the Illuminati on Twitter, the extremely intelligent individuals who spend all their day on Twitter. Riku, this is all a big mind game. I have been sucked in to Dillian White's mind games. Dillian White has got me, Dillian White has got John Fury, and Dillian White has got Tyson Fury all on strings. He's playing games. He's playing big games. And while Tyson Fury's sitting here worrying about whether Dillian's going to sign the contract, Dillian's out in the Algarve training hard, and this is why Dillian's going to win the fight. So from what I've been told, by people on Twitter, the same people who told me that Amir Khan was in Kell Brook's head all week long, the same people who told me that, Brook's rattled, you can see, Brook's rattled, look at the gloves are off. They're now telling me that Dillian is 100% signing this agreement tomorrow and that this fight is on, Riku.
Well, firstly, that Fury's team know the date of the event, and as does White's team, and they probably booked the venue, Wembley, and everything else. Tyson Fury is not training just because he's waiting for White to sign the contract. They probably just started their training camp anyways. And genuinely, I don't understand. What's the benefit? Can somebody explain to me what's the benefit of not signing the contract? There's no real benefit.
I've never heard anything so bizarre in my entire life. The only thing I've ever heard, which is even remotely close to something that makes common sense, is that, what are they saying? Dillian's going to wait until the last minute to try and extort and extract the most amount of money out of Warren and Warren, which makes sense. And listen, if that's what Dillian's doing, if that's what Dillian's doing, if Dillian's going to sign and he's just trying to wait, him and his lawyer waiting to the absolute last minute, because I'll be honest with you, should I tell you what I'm expecting tomorrow? I'm expecting tomorrow. I'm going to have no idea what's going on, right? But I'm expecting tomorrow. I'm expecting to see some last minute demands from Dillian White. I'm expecting that, Riku. I'm expecting right at the last minute. I'm expecting Dillian White to make some form of take it or leave it request for his lawyer. That's what I'm expecting. But if that's the game and Dillian's going to sign, as long as he signs, Riku, I don't care. If he wants, if him and his lawyer can get more money, that's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? If him and his lawyer can get more money, that's absolutely fine. But from my perspective, here's what it is. Can I just say quickly, sorry, Wizard Sleeve, do you want to call in? Because if you want to call in, Wizard, and give your opinion on this White and Fury thing, me and Riku will quickly listen to you. I don't have a problem. Wizard Sleeve, if you want to give it a call in, I'm going to drop the link if you want to call. Hold on. Wizard Sleeve, do you want to call in? One sec.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see if he wants to call in. because he's got a lot to say. So I don't have a problem talking with Wizard. Wizard, we'll sit here and listen to you. Let me know,
we'll
Wizard,
have a rational conversation. We'll get your point of view. Why not?
We'll talk to you, Wizard. If you want to jump on, we'll have a chat with you. Riku, give your opinion. So you carry on, and we'll see if Wizard wants to come on. We'll let you talk as well, Wizard. We'll let you talk.
I get the argument of saying, "Oh, he's going to extract more money," but there's a purse bid process. His team didn't win the purse bid. It's a take it or leave it offer. They can argue about everything around the contract, whether it's dates or whether it's everything else. But frankly, if he doesn't accept the contract offer, then WBC will just say, okay, go down the rankings. It might be someone like Joe Joyce, and they could still make that fight at Wembley with Joe Joyce. So I genuinely believe that Frank Warren and Tyson Fury's team, they're not particularly fussed who it is they're facing. They just need the activity. And, that Joyce against Tyson Fury fight would be pay-per-view, probably not as much money involved, but still, it's an easier fight to make. They'd save money on the purses. It's an all-British fight. It could be at Wembley. So I don't see what they can argue.
Riku, what's going to happen?
My gut says if they haven't signed the contract yet, they're not going to sign it, and they're going to say something's wrong with the contract, or it's not fair, or they're going to ask for more time. But if I was Dillian White, and I'd be backing myself, I'm chomping at the bits, I know I'd make more money if I win the fight, then I'd genuinely just take the offer if it's a good offer. I mean, the purse bid is a career high purse bid. It's a big fight, and I think everything around that, you don't have to work on the promotion of it. It's on your broadcaster. I think he's not going to sign. And I think if he hasn't done it by now, he's not going to do it by tomorrow. Nothing's going to change in the next 24 hours that's going to change his opinion. And I mean, doing these mind games, how stupid are we? Because at the end of the day, you probably want more time to promote the fight and everything else. And Dillian knows if he can promote the fight, well, he can be involved in the promotion. They can get the ball rolling. There's no benefit for him for the fight bombing and then him losing the fight, right? That just does worse for his market value. If nobody's watching him and nobody's there and he loses the fight, then why would anybody invest more money? If anything, he wants the fight to be a success and he hopes he can win.
Let me just quickly say, guys, don't listen. If Wizard Sleeve doesn't want to come on, he doesn't want to come on. All right, simple as that. All right, don't start calling him a bottle job and stuff. Go on, man. Listen, I'm trying to avoid. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid all this combative shit. Like, I'm just saying, if people want to call on, these are the rules, right? And I think Abdul's going to be coming on in a minute, Riku, to talk. Oh, God, Andre, everybody wants to come on. The thing is, right, what these guys don't understand is I want all these dudes to come on Monday, Riku, when this contract doesn't get signed. So that's what I'm thinking. All these, Andre wants to come on, but I'm thinking, why don't we, do you know what? Fuck it. We've got 184 in here. Let me put the link up. Riku.
Yeah,
they can talk to Riku. Let's just do it.
Come on.
Okay, now. All right, guys. Hit the like button because we're changing up the show for this, yeah? All right, we're changing up the show, so please hit the like button. And Wizard Sleeve, if Wizard Sleeve doesn't want to come on, he doesn't want to come on. I'm not going to abuse the guy or say he's a coward. He's not a coward at all. Do you know what? Listen, this is my platform. I have control of it. I'd be a bit mindful of going onto somebody else's platform and having them cuss me out and not letting me have. I went onto Artman's platform. Remember, I went onto Artman's platform to actually big this guy who's now, you know what's happened to him, right? I went on to give a bit of positivity. Well, let's put it this way: you won't be seeing him much more on certain social media platforms. But and I went on to give him a bit of positivity, and him and his mate were threatening me. They're gonna knock me out. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. All this stuff. You know what I mean? It's crazy talk they were coming out with, bro. I couldn't believe the talk they was coming out with. All right, give me a sec here. Yeah, crazy talk. And then he came on my platform, Riku. He came on my platform.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I gave him a fair shout. Here you go, right? Let me be in it. I didn't say nothing to him.
I remember him.
I don't.
Him on Twitter just walking around with his gun and saying he takes it everywhere. He just like, how insecure are you if you have to carry a gun everywhere?
Mate, listen, I don't play. No, listen. I'm going to put the link in right now. People want to call in. Here we go. I don't play no tough guy games. I don't act like a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy. I don't cuss people out. The only time I get smart with people is if they say dumb shit to me about this and that. The link's at the top of the description box. Okay. So 168 in the chat. Please hit the like button. We've got 173 here and 75 likes. Bro, please hit the like button. It is what it is. Oh my God, Andre straight in. He's just not playing no games. Here he is. We're supposed to get you on Monday, Andre.
Yeah. How's it going?
Can you hear me, Andre?
Good, thank you. Yourself, Andre. Welcome on.
Andre, can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit of a
sorry.
delay. Yes, I can hear you. Thanks.
Sorry, it's me. Sorry. This stupid browser I'm using, for some reason, I keep muting myself on the bloody browser tab for some reason. Sorry about that. All right, Andre. It's supposed to bring you in on Monday. You're gonna have to do a double shift for us. 24 hours to go, Andre. Give your opinions on last night's fight if you saw it between Brook and Khan, or give your opinion on whatever. Say what you got to say, Andre. Time is running out.
No. Yes, guys, I agree. It's running out quickly. I do believe he'll take the fight. He definitely will take the fight, but I do believe he's trying to leverage himself up until the last minute. I mean, as we all know, he's asked for money to attend the press conference. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. I mean, he just wants to milk every conceivable cent out of Frank Warren. And, he is as greedy as can be. And as for his joker of a alias brother, Mr. Dean White, he's obviously trying to play coy about the situation, but he does know exactly what's going on. I think that it's just a scam to try and really extract maximum funds out of Frank Warren. And I do think he's also trying to play mind games with Tyson Fury, but I don't think that's going to work. And as Fury says, I think he must just be prepared to take his hard in and go home and lick his wounds, and at least he'll have 8 more to show for it.
Andre, can I ask you a question? Do you think he's doing these tactics to make it seem, if he doesn't accept the fight, that he'll actually end up, that he's gone out as such? Because, with a purse bid, right, everything's agreed, more or less, to how much money he makes. If he asks for more, Frank Warren and team have no obligation to give him anymore. So I'd like your views on that.
Yes, I think that he's definitely gonna push the maximum. Look, I think he knows this is his last chance, really, for a big fight to make money, because he's going to get knocked out, no doubt about it, and he's most definitely going to lose if he doesn't get knocked out. So I think it's like, he wants to play his last round at the roulette table, and he wants to bet the farm. So he knows it's his last hurrah. So he will do everything in his power to maximize this one opportunity he's going to have. And he knows that Fury and them are as hard up really for the fight, because where does Fury really go from here for plan B for a fight? Because look, it'll need to be a title defense. And he can't defend against Wilder, who's number 2. I mean, that guy's first got to smoke ayahuasca to see if he wants to, continue with boxing. So he's still got to do his little ritual. So he's out of the question. It could be, 1 or 2 other guys locally. But I think that he's definitely going to take the fight. No doubt he'll take the fight with Fury. As you guys have said, I also agree, he will wait for the very, very last minute, and then he will commit to it. And then I think he'll try and get something a bit more lucrative and specific in writing for the upside, because Warren said he will give him an upside. But obviously, seems to me Dillian wants a commitment in writing as to the percentage involved. But Aram obviously said that, if everyone makes money, then he'll make money as well. So he's going to take it. No doubt he'll take the fight. I mean, he can't not take it. Let's put it this way. It's as good as winning the lottery and saying, thanks, I won't have it, take your check back. So, he might be a lot of things, but I don't think he's stupid. I mean, that would really be as good as committing suicide. He will not take the fight, but I think he'll leverage every maximum opportunity to really put Aram and Frank Warren right up in the corner to maybe make concede to the last little demand that he has before he puts pen to paper.
No, I agree. I mean, with most of your points, I just don't see how he has any leverage to try and get him more. I just believe that because he was already going to get 10% if he wins, more on his purse, and I think it's something in the realm of, $12 million US if he wins the fight. They'll probably give him a bit of pay-per-view upside, but I don't see how much more he thinks he can make. And also what the threshold is that Aram and Warren just say, no, we're not playing ball. And then that becomes an issue where the WBC say to White, essentially, you're going to be stripped of your interim title and somebody else is going to fight against him. I mean, it puts Tyson Fury back, but he also puts White back as well by quite a few weeks for his next fight. And if it's fight against Chisora next, nobody wants to see that.
All right, okay. Andre,
yes,
we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back hopefully tomorrow because we're going to know tomorrow. You're going to pop in tomorrow for us.
Yes, I'll definitely pop in, guys. Yes,
right, thank you, Andre. Much appreciated. Have a good rest of the day, and thank you for watching the show.
100%. All the best.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Listen, for Dillian's sake, I hope he signs that agreement because Andre does not fucking play. I mean, if he doesn't, now hold on. This apparently is Wizard's sleeve, but Wizard, what are you talking in the chat? And you're here, yeah? Right, I thought so. All right, let's bring in someone who's actually going to talk. Abdul.
Hello.
It's been a while. Where the fuck have you been?
Life, man. Life got the better of me, man.
Jesus Christ. A few people have been asking where you are.
Yeah, life got the better, but better late than never. Kell Brook and I'm here now.
Go on then. Go on, Abdul.
So, I wanted to say, I don't know if it's been pointed out already on the show, but there was a huge size difference on the night between Brook and Khan. And I can see that in a press conference as well, when they were face to face. I believe Brook is 154 and Khan is 140, but he might be a little bit, maybe his metabolism has slowed down. That won't allow him to get down to that weight. He's not a true 147 at all. He's not. He's just saying it maybe because he doesn't want to do the extra hard bit to get to 140. So I think really what won Kell Brook the fight was his size and his edge in power, because when Khan was throwing, Brook wasn't hurt. So Brook was almost walking through Khan's punches. And once an opponent does that, then it's curtains. You have got no chance because you've not got anything to sting him, to deter him from coming in. So I think that played a big role. And I can see maybe why Khan was avoiding that fight for a while, because he knows that they're not in the same weight class and that he doesn't have something to put him off, to sort of put him off. Do you know what I mean? And obviously he doesn't have the legs, because with Maidana, that's always brought up as a remember that Maidana performance, but that was Khan using his legs and moving. He tried to do that at the beginning of the fight, but he just gave up in the end, because I don't know, I think the legs are gone, and I think it's time for him to hang it up. He's had a good career. We saw the impact that he had in British boxing. On the undercard, we've seen the kids who were inspired by him. Azim Khan, who I think is his name Azim? Adam Azim. Yeah. Adam Azim, who I think he looks really good.
Yeah, both of them are very good from Slav.
Yeah, Adam is the better one. The better one. Definitely. And I think that, just look at the impact that he's had and the amount of people from that background taking up boxing. He's a bit like the Naseem Hamed effect in terms of him, the people who took up boxing because of him, like the Yafai brothers, like Kid Galahad. They are from the same background as Naseem Hamed. So, he's achieved his legacy. He done what he done. He's got the money. He made his name in America and the likes, and he's well respected also in the Middle East. So I think that he should hang it up. He got money coming in various ways. As for Kell Brook, I think he should maybe fight Danny Garcia at 154.
Yeah, I mean, look, potentially, I think it was really hard to gauge from that fight how much is left in Kell, and I genuinely do feel Kell did a perfect camp and did everything he could because this fight meant so much more to him. Whether Kell could get the motivation to fight against somebody outside of Britain, because somebody like Danny Garcia, where does that fight then lead? That's the problem. But I think you're right, and we've overlooked the fact that Khan has inspired at least a generation of boxers from that background, and I think he does so much more than just boxing these days. Got through charity foundations, and anybody I speak to that knows Amir Khan says he's a very stand-up guy, a lovely guy. So I think he's a credit to sport and Britain as a country and his community. So I think we should never forget that about Amir Khan. How much do you think it impacted him that his last real competitive fight was back in 2019 against Crawford? Sorry, Ultra.
So, Rick, can I just butt in, guys? Can you both stay there? Because this is an ongoing situation. I'm going to be very, very rude, and I shouldn't do this. Abdul, don't go anywhere, okay?
Okay.
Just stay here. Wizard, is that you?
Shut up, you cunt.
Carry on, Abdul.
Oh wow! I mean,
that's not Wizard Sleeve. That's just somebody else.
Okay.
Carry on, Abdul. That's right.
Yeah.
Little boys in their mum's house with their pot noodle. He's on his mum's Wi-Fi and he's got a bit brave, isn't he?
Yeah.
Someone needs to tell his mum to take him off the Wi-Fi.
I mean,
Fucking
his
sitting
weekly
over his
allowance
mum's
of
on his-
Wi-Fi is up shortly.
Yeah.
Abdul, so what do you think the
Do you
impact
know
has
the
been?
best one is? Do you know the best one is with these clowns? He doesn't even wait for the comeback. He runs off, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? Getting brave. He's getting brave on his mum's BT broadband, and he comes like, "Shut up, you cunt!" And then he quickly, let me run. Fuck you, these guys.
I think that's the internet in 2022 defined there in that one moment. That's
carry on.
But sorry,
carry
Abdul.
on. Let me mute. We got Jason to come in afterwards as well. Sorry. So
Yeah,
carry on.
Yeah, Abdul, just one final question. How much do you think it impacted Khan's fight resistance, punch resistance and sharpness? Because I think his last real competitive fight was in 2019. So about 3 years ago against Terence Crawford. I don't really count the Buddy Deb fights in Saudi Arabia, but how do you think that impacted what we saw of Khan last night?
What we saw of Khan last night was, to be honest with you, he's been traveling the world and he's been enjoying the finer things in life, and I just don't think that he's got the same appetite for a war as he used to have anymore. He doesn't have that appetite, and also he mentioned as well in a post-fight interview that he peaked at an early age, and I believe he peaked at an early age. His peak was 20, maybe 22 or 21, 22 years old was his peak, whereas Kell Brook, his peak came later when he beat Sean Porter. So, different fighters peak at different ages. So even if they fought at 21, Khan would win. But if they fought at a time when Brook was peaked, then Brook would have won. But the thing that makes it a bit difficult to judge is that they're not the same weight class. There's at least 2 weight classes difference between the 2 men. And that's why I know the public were clamoring for it, but I didn't really understand it because there are 2 weight classes difference between the 2 gentlemen there. And also, Crawford got rid of him because he's a special fighter. I think when you're a special fighter, weight classes don't matter too much in terms of like you can, 1 or 2 weight classes, you can do it if you're a special fighter. But if you're not a special fighter but you're a good fighter, then it makes a massive difference. And I think Khan he's a good fighter. I don't think he's a special fighter. Crawford is a special fighter, which is why he was able to beat up Kell Brook, who's 2 weight classes above him, really, when you think about it. But the problem with Kell is his dimensions won't allow him to fight at 154. He'll get 154 is full of 6-footers with arm reach that's really long, and they just when they rehydrate and they look huge. Like a Jarrett Hurd, for example, or even a Jamel Charlo. These guys rehydrate and they're really powerful. so he wouldn't. He's sort of in the middle as well, Kell Brook. So I don't know. I would really like to see boxing go back to same day weigh-ins. I think we'll get more competitive fights that way, and then people will actually win based on skill rather than size.
Yeah, Abdul, I tell you, Abdul, it's really dangerous. That's why they can't do that.
Yeah, that's it. It's the brain injuries. People so dehydrated. But yeah, do you have any closing points, Abdul? We've got a few other people.
Yeah, no problem. Apart the Dillian White now, I will go back to that because I doubt I'll come on tomorrow. I've got a few things to do. With Dillian White, he is getting the offer of a lifetime. He's getting a fight with Tyson Fury for decent money, which is the same amount of money that he probably would have got offered for fighting AJ. Is that right? About 7 mil he was offered last time to fight AJ.
He was offered £5 million, so I think he's getting $8 million. So that's like 6. It's a bit more than fighting AJ.
There you go. So he's getting more money to fight Fury. There's no rematch clause. When you know in AJ there's a rematch clause, even though it's an in-house fight, as they say. Eddie Hearn will put a rematch clause in every single fight if he could. Even for an English title, he probably would do it if he can. It's ridiculous. So he's got an opportunity to make good money, fight, beat this guy, and run away with the belts, just like our mandatory should be. Whereas, Matchroom, they're always sticking a rematch clause in there. So I don't know what the holdup is. Sign the papers, and in terms of not promoting a fight or whatever, I don't understand. You're getting an opportunity to get the belts and run away with them, and then you're the boss now, and then you can make the shots. I think it's very generous of Frank Warren and Bob Arum to give him a no rematch clause. Any other promoter besides maybe Al Heyman would have put a rematch clause in there. So what's the holdup?
I don't understand either. I frankly think if you can win the fight, if you believe you can win the fight in your heart of hearts, and not having a rematch clause and a chance at the Lineal Championship and the WBC
and a Ring magazine.
Otherwise, what's the point of you boxing in the first place? If you don't feel like you're going to be the best or you're not trying to be the best, then fine. Fight against YouTubers, make money other ways. But this is the chance of his lifetime, so. If he misses out on this, the whole making the public feel sorry for him, or which I didn't really buy into, but a few people have bought into it. What's there to be, upset about now? You've got a nice opportunity, take it. If not, we don't want to hear from you ever again.
Right. Well, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow, Abdul. On Monday, we're going to do an extended call in and find out. Hopefully, we can get to the bottom of this. Hopefully, you can't come on to Abdul. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'll say before we go, because I've got to bring Jason in.
Yeah.
I just think it's. I think we're going to get another twist there. That's what I think.
It's boxing, isn't it? We always get, it's never straightforward, isn't it?
All right, Abdul. Let me get rid of Wizard Sleeve now. All right, because he had his opportunity to call in. I was 100% fair. I said I'm not going to shout, scream, or do anything. And this dude popped on, obviously, and obviously his testicles haven't quite dropped yet. Do you know what I mean? You can hear by the sound of his voice. He called in and he swore, and then he ran off like a little girl. So obviously we can't have that. This show's for over 18. So Abdul, you're the man. Let me just quickly get rid of Wizard Sleeve. Abdul, thank you very much.
What do we think of before I go? What do we think of Eubank and Brook? Eubank is just ridiculous, isn't he? He's picking on people now.
Yeah, I personally think asking Kell Brook to go up in weight to fight against him, it's one of those fights that doesn't lead anywhere in Eubank's career. And if his aim is to become a champion, a real champion, make a lot of money, and to be a proper star and live up to his family name, that Kell Brook fight does nothing, because Kell Brook isn't ranked at 160. So what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, it baffles me. He's 32 years old, and rather than going to fight the champions and chasing them, he's saying that. So to me, that just says everything about his career and where it's going, to be honest.
Well, it must be some next gen tactics. But yeah, thank you, Abdul, and thanks
no worries, guys.
And good speaking to you. All right, take care.
Cheers, Abdul. Take care, brother. Jason, how we doing?
All right.
Yeah, all
Jason.
good, Ralph. What are you saying?
I'm good.
We go on, bro. Hit us with it. What do you think? Do you enjoy
This
it?
looks like Belly's OnlyFans. Jason's lying in bed, camera from the top. I mean,
I'm hiding.
maybe this is Belly's OnlyFans.
I'm hiding in the bedroom because my wife don't really like boxing, so I'm just come on quick.
No worries.
Go on, Jason. Speak your speech, Jason.
Yeah, just I have to eat my words, man. I was completely wrong. The fight went completely the other way. So touche to you, Ultra, man. Yeah, nice one, Riku. Anyway, I've been a fan for a long time, man. So just safe anyway. But yeah, it was a good fight while it lasted. Like, I mean, considering they were both shot to bits. The only thing I got right is the referee stopped it, but I can't even say he stopped it that much too early. Khan could have carried on, but I mean, what did you want to see him just get a hiding? Like, do you know what I mean? It was just going one way, but I think it was stopped a bit too early. I like to see like, you know, people earn their money, as it were. But that's just me. I'm happy for Kell. I really am, because the more I thought about it as they were coming to the ring, and the more I thought about it after I come on, it's like Amir Khan, his legacy is set. No matter what happened in this fight, no matter what he does on OnlyFans, knocking one out, whatever he does, any of that madness, I'm a celebrity. His legacy in boxing is set. He's an Olympic silver medalist. He's been over America. He's fought on some of the biggest cards. He's an absolute star all over the Middle East. So Kell Brook needed this. Like, if Kell Brook would have lost this fight, I would have honestly been fearful for his mental health. I really would have. Like, there was so much riding on this fight. So I'm happy for that. I do want to flag something that I just want your opinion. And I'm not throwing shade or anything. I just want to say, don't you think Kell Brook, like, he says he was training for 7 months. I went back and looked because I was unsure. And he said he was training for 7 months for this fight. And then when they called the fight, he was podgy as fuck. He was weighty, bro. I'm telling you, there's no way he was training for 7 months. And then all of a sudden, he fucking looks one of the best he's ever looked for 149 at 35 years old in double quick time, with a fight that is only being sanctioned by, not by VADA, by the UK, which, if you remember Billy Joe's case, allows you to use oxyfrillone, which is definitely being used by Ingle himself to cut the weight to get their muscles at his age. I know from training. That's not knocking him or anything. He can use what he wants. But that's what they had Billy on, thinking that they could get away with it. And Billy tested positive in one of the only states in America. The same thing recently happened to Virgil Ortiz, and they let Virgil Ortiz fight. But because Eddie came down on Billy so hard, which is right, because he was trying to get a leg up and cheat. All I'm saying is, or not cheat, but all I'm saying is, I reckon that he was using some kind of weight cutting substance and energy substance, because when he came through and looked on the scales and that, and in the ring, there was never anything. He he was on his feet hard, cutting off the ring all the time. You know, there was never a breath. He looked like he had.
Let me.
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on, please.
No, that's right. No, it's okay. I'll jump in. Look, I was sent an email by somebody before the fight was made to say Brook's in training. This fight's on. And I knew this fight was on before it got made, because somebody tipped me off who's in Sheffield, and I wouldn't say knows Kell Brook, but it's bumped into him. So I think Kell was in training for this fight. Maybe not in hard camp, but Kell was doing something for this fight, I think, way before the fight was announced, because I was sent an email and I was told. Having said that, let me be honest with you. You've got to be careful what I say here. Yeah. My opinion on drugs is everybody's on dope. Everybody.
I think so too.
Everybody.
Think so too.
I've always been on that. But what the reason why I don't, and I've got to be careful for legal reasons, and I'll let Riku talk in a sec, but I think it's not like just Brook, or it's not just like one person, or it's not just a Fury, or it's not just a Gerald Miller. I think there's all sorts going on, Jason. To be honest,
Bruv, it's
Jason,
it's like cycling. It's like they're all on it.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, what's allowed is allowed, right? So you're not, even if you're using substances that are not on the ban list that enhance your performance, it is performance enhancing, but it's not banned, and that's the thing. And maybe the fight was, sanctioned with all of this in mind, because at the end of the day, people want to see the best event, and that's 100%. What's, it's the same as 100-meter running, right? We want to see the fastest people possible. We don't care what they're on.
No. They should let them all cheat. Then at least we know the best fighters. And the truth is, the best fighters aren't at the top because they cheat. Canelo's not number one because he's cheated. Tyson's not number one because he's cheated. They're number one because they're the best fighters. Everybody's on it. I believe that anyway. I just wanted to just get your opinion.
No, I believe exactly the same. But I think back to the Kell Brook weight cutting, I genuinely think Kell could have never been up for a fight more than this fight. And that's why he wasn't maybe cutting the corners that he has done before in camp. He wasn't drinking alcohol. He wasn't eating the occasional takeaway. Like, he knew, as he said, he knew this fight is his legacy. This fight is the one thing that he can, the rest of his career, whatever he does, whether he quits or not, he can live in peace because he knew they beat Amir Khan. And everybody in Sheffield will be coming up to him and talking about this fight and, you know, patting him on the back. And, you know, that's really the thing that made Kell Brook perform his best, because when we've seen Kell not at his best, it's because he frankly couldn't be asked, you know, what's he doing at Fuerteventura or wherever he went, where he got that machete thing. I mean, lots of rumors about that, which I won't go into, but in any case, like, a fighter shouldn't be doing that, right?
Yeah.
And Kell needs to have a fixed target that he can work towards and fix, and this was the fight that he wanted.
Let me just butt in here because I've got somebody who's going to cuss me out and call me out coming up next. Jason, give your final thoughts. I've got to be careful what I say, but
that's it.
I'm going to be 100% honest. My opinion is anybody who's not doping in the sport is an idiot. That's my opinion. I mean, even at white collar level, Jason, even when I was in the gym, I never had a fight, but I am bargain bucket. You have to understand. I'm worse than Fraser Clark's opponent, who they dragged out of the crowd, to go and fight Fraser Clark at the last minute. I'm worse than him. And I know for a fact, even white collar fights for no money, dudes were openly saying, yeah, I've taken a bit of testosterone. Or, yeah, I know at least 2 people who had something. So if that's going on in white collar, and people, nobody can make me believe it's not going on in pro boxing. And that's all I've got to say about that. Give your final thoughts, Jason.
Yeah, that's it. Just happy for Kell Brook. I really am. Like, he deserved to fight. He fought well. I could see, and you know what? Amir Khan weren't even pissed off, bruv.
No.
He wasn't even pissed. He didn't give a fuck. I swear to God, he was just like, oh shit. Well, he knew it didn't matter in the long term. In the long term, for what he's done, he can always go, oh, well. And maybe that's why he fought him at the end, because he can always go, I was past it. Abdullah brought up a couple of good points about him being a 135-40 fighter, and Brook, the size difference, I was going to peg that. The size difference was incredible. Like, it was literally like a man in there against a boy. It was literally. So, yeah, just that really. And on Monday's thing, I'll try and call back in. But if Dillian doesn't take the fight, he's a complete numpty. It's for the lineal thing, the lineal title. It's the man who beat the man. He will literally go, not like some of these paper titles and all of this bullshit. He will go down as the man who beat the man. His legacy will carry on the heavyweight division's name. He's complete madness if he doesn't take it. Do you know what I mean?
We'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday. Thank you for joining
Jason,
in.
On Monday, Jason, I think what we'll do is we'll give people a bit more time. I'll try and organize it. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep opening the lines up, so we'll work something out where we'll get a couple of people and we'll give everybody a bit more time. All
right, man. Wicked. Nice one, lads. Safe.
All right.
See you soon, brother. Take care of yourself. See you soon.
Bye.
Hey, guess what, Riku? I had somebody in the chat. Right, I think a few people are a bit stupid, right, and they don't know how StreamYard works. Let me just explain how StreamYard works, right? So the way StreamYard works is, if I wanted to ban someone permanently, I could ban them. Like, people think that they can come join the call and keep changing their name, and that somehow that's going to allow them in. No, you're only in because I allow you to come in, because there's a special button in StreamYard called ban, yeah? And if I ban you from the studio, that's the end of it. Like, you're not going to come back, because I think it's pretty much an IP ban. Now, I had someone in the chat just jump in 2 seconds ago and say, I'm going to call you out. All you do is spew lies and hatred.
I saw that.
You saw that. You saw that
on the private chat. Yeah,
you can see it on the private chat. Yeah, right. And now all of a sudden they disappeared. So the person who is under the name Anthony Fowler, right? It's very, very simple. I will mute myself, right? I'm not going to debate with you. You can give your opinion as long as you don't shout and swear and whatnot and do a wizard sleeve and start using the words and then legging off. That's fine. It's not a problem, right? But if you want to give your opinion, I'm honestly interested to hear it. So, like I said before, I'm not a tough guy. I don't behave like a tough guy, all right? I won't cut people off, as you heard before. I'll let people have their say, as long as they let me have my say. If you would like to come back and give your opinion, all right, in a concise and clear way, without shouting or swearing or trying to derail the show, you are welcome to come back in. I was literally, ironically, as soon as I mentioned to Jason that we've got somebody coming in next, the man disappeared. So I have no idea what's going on. Carry on, Riku.
I mean, look, if we spew hate and lies, can somebody come and explain to us what we're saying that's factually incorrect or why our opinions are wrong? Because the only way we're going to, have better opinions is when we listen to people have different opinions. So if you're man enough to be in the chat and call us out, so why don't you come and speak to us? You don't even have to have your camera on.
Listen, Riku, I'm wrong about loads of stuff.
Same.
And I'm wrong about loads of stuff. There's probably loads of stuff that I'm wrong about. We're all hypocrites. None of us are perfect. None of us claim to be perfect. I've been a hypocrite on this channel many a time. Everybody's been hypocrites. It's part of human nature. So what we try to do on this channel is we just try to engage, a good solid chat. I wouldn't even call it a debate, just a good solid chat. Because for me, what I say is my opinion. No one's, I can't change anyone's opinion, Riku. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not here to change people's opinion.
Ultimately, we're giving our opinions. We want people to think for themselves, share their own opinions. And if you disagree, then you disagree. If you agree and maybe changes your opinion a bit, so you look at things differently, then we all benefit. But calling people idiots on the chat or anything else, that says nothing. I mean, people are grown-ups. You're spending your own time sitting in a chat box, calling people out that you don't even know, but you're too afraid to, come on the camera and speak to us.
Yeah. By the way, can I just say one thing? Absolutely nobody has to turn the camera on when they jump on. We don't care. For anybody who wants to join the chat, let me tell you right now. For anybody who wants to join the chat and just talk normally and respectfully, like we would in person, right? Jump on the chat. There's a simple button. There's two buttons. I don't know if you have them, Riku.
Yeah,
there's two buttons at the bottom of the screen.
You've got stop cam.
That's it. You've got mute and you've got stop cam. All you got to do is hit stop cam. Yeah? And then your pictures come. We don't want to see your face. We don't care. We don't have to see your face. We don't care about that. All right. So it's not about that. We're not trying to out people. Yeah. I don't show my face online very much. So I don't expect you to too. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. It's not about trying to out people or so you got to come on here. You got to show your face. You haven't got to show your face. All you got to do is just respectfully give your opinion. Sorry, Rick, you carry on.
And we don't want people, if somebody has a different opinion, we don't want people in the comments jumping on them either. So it's just the case that if you have an opinion that's different and you're so vocal against our opinion, then let's chat about it. There's nothing more to it.
And let me just say, nobody can say, by the way, where's his sleep? And when I mean he's banned. I mean, listen, if I even sniff this guy coming back onto another account, I mean, it's a wrap. If I gave this guy every opportunity. I was nice. I was respectful. I told people in the comments, I told people in the chat, stop calling him a bottle job, jump on, blah, blah, blah. And he did that. So it was what it was. Let's get back to it. So Andre thinks White's going to sign tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Let me change up subject. By the way, let me quickly say this, Riku. Guys, if anybody wants to call in and just have a normal chat, it's not a problem. The link's in the description box. All you have to do is click the link. All you have to do, you can hit stop cam when you join. Nobody has to see your face. Just come in and just chat with us. Just talk normally. These call-in shows ain't gonna go on forever. All right. I'm only running these call-in shows now because White's contract, Conor Brook. These are two of the most important moments, in British boxing this year. We're going to be going back to a show really where it's going to be me and a couple of people ranting at you lot again. So if you want to call in and just give your opinion, now is the time. The Dillian Whyte situation, Ultra Tech, you spew nothing but hate and lies. Let me tell you something about hate and lies and things like that and obfuscation and this kind of thing. If you just look at Dillian Whyte's whole setup, right? Do you not think his whole setup is like really dodgy? Like to me, like let me tell you something, right? I've got nothing against Dillian. I'm being real, and I've said this a million times. I actually like Dillian Whyte. But I would ask, if I could ask Dillian from afar without getting my jaw spun around, I would ask him, yeah, Dillian, no offense, but it's really unusual to have somebody who isn't your blood relative, right, claiming to be your brother and taking your name and then doing business off your name. Now, I'm not accusing Dean White of anything, right? But that has to be, right, a question that anybody would ask. Like, if you were a journalist, right, and you were doing an interview with Dean White, right, if I did an interview, if I make this clear, I like Dean White. I think Dean White is a very positive individual. I haven't got a problem with Dean White. But if Dean White was to call in now, respectfully, I'd have to ask him, Dean, do you know, like, how that looks? Like, this guy is not your blood brother. You're walking around calling yourself Dean White. So every time you're doing business, people are making that association with Dillian White, and then you're doing business off that name. I don't know. Like, for a lot of people, Riku, they would find that a bit, I don't know. Riku, carry on.
I mean, look.
What do you think about that situation? What do you think about the whole Dean White brother
situation? You're a grown
situation?
man pretending to be somebody else, which I think generally in society, you don't pretend to be someone else. Do you know that Anna Delvey or whatever her name is, that woman in New York that frauded all these rich people?
No, I don't.
Like, it's a few years old. She's like this Russian woman, and she pretended to be like this German aristocrat. And she was telling all these rich people that she's a trust fund kid, and they'd give her money and stuff, and she ended up going to prison. To me, it's a bit the same way. Basically, fighters are signing in his company in the hopes that he can elevate their careers because he's associated with Dillian White. But if his name was, let's say, Lamar Scott, for example, if his name was
what I'm saying.
Lamar Scott Associates, and he was signing fighters, would these fighters sign in the first place? Maybe not.
And that's what I have to be on it. Again, I want to make it one more time clear. I've got no problem with Dean White, yeah?
No, I mean, I met him. He's a nice guy. He's pretty friendly. He speaks to everybody. He gives his time. I've met him. He's a nice enough guy. I've no problem with him as an individual, but I just find it weird that the boxing establishment is going along with this.
Because you're right. If he did say he was Lamar Scott in interviews, first and foremost, the number of views he would get on social media and IFL TV would go down because people wouldn't make that connection. Does that make sense? Just by the name alone, Dean White, yeah? You see Dean White come up in your in your description box, or you see Dean White come up on your YouTube, and immediately what do? You make the connection to Dillian, yeah? And you start watching. Yeah, if you're a fighter or if you're somebody, you're like, oh, Dillian, yeah, you make that connection and you start doing business. So I think there's a reason why he uses that name, but I would love to hear from and you know what, honestly, to be honest, Dean White's not hurting anybody, so he doesn't owe me. He doesn't owe me an explanation. He doesn't owe anybody an explanation, okay? Because he's not hurting anybody. He's, if that's what they do, that's what they do. But there's so many things about Dillian White, yeah? And that's one of them that I just think that are rather odd. Personally, if someone wants to say, yeah, we're bros, that's cool. Me and Chevin, we're not as close as Dillian and Dean, but me and Chevin are like, yeah, you're my bro, whatever, this and that. But motherfucker, I ain't using his name. I don't walk around saying, yeah, I'm Chevin Jr. or some shit.
Do you remember Lee Beard, who was in Carl Froch's team? So he had Lee Froch and Lee Beard.
Yes.
Lee Beard wasn't going around claiming that he's related to Carl Froch, right? He was just his mate, and we took him as his mate, right? We didn't take him as Carl Froch's brother. Lee Froch was obviously Carl's brother. And we have these always in boxing. Like, you have people that are close associates to other people. Like, you can think about Leonard Ellaby and Mayweather in that same way to some regard, right? Like, we associate Leonard Ellaby with Mayweather. But, I mean, look, these guys don't even look alike. One speaks with a South London accent, one speaks with a Jamaican accent.
There's nothing alike.
Yeah, there's an old documentary where Dillian White's mom has been interviewed, and she talks about the two daughters that she has and Dillian growing up and stuff. So, it's not hard to find out that this guy is not anything related to, Dillian White. But yeah, the boxing media and others keep on going with this. If this was business or anything else, business journalists would say, no, we're not playing ball. You're not related.
I don't know. But let me call out somebody in the chat. Somebody said Dean White's a criminal. No, he's not. You can't say. This is what I'm saying.
I don't know this guy, so I'm not going to make up stuff. And he's not.
Yeah.
He's a positive influence. He's putting on shows, small hall shows. He's giving boxers opportunities. He's always at Miguel's gym, training guys, doing stuff for the community. I think as a net positive, he's a good force in boxing. He's good to have. He's good value. Nobody has any problem with that. But the case is more that Dillian and everybody else are going along with that.
Sorry, someone's up to go. Sorry, can't start comparing Hitler and I don't get it, Rick. I tell you what. Sometimes I do these shows, Riku, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I mean, listen. I think people need to have a bit of perspective here now. Yeah. Look, it is odd what's going on. There's no question about this. This is odd, right? But just because we're pointing out the oddities doesn't mean you have to start bringing Hitler into it, right? Doesn't mean you have to start saying that the man's a criminal when we've got no evidence of that whatsoever. The man on whole, from everything I've seen, is a net positive. If I had to have a drink with one of these two, genuinely, right? Let me tell you, I'll be honest with you. If someone said, Ultra, you can have a drink with Dillian White, he won't bash you up. He'll just have a chat with you. Dillian White is not the kind of person that I want to have a drink with, to be honest. He's just, to me, like, I'll be honest with you, just from his vibe, he's not the kind of person that I personally would even want to have a drink with. Not the kind of person that I want to talk to, not the kind of person that I'd want to associate with. To be honest, Dean White is a completely different story. If I saw Dean White right now in the street, I'd walk up to him and I'd say, Dean, it's Dean White. And I'd probably tell him, Dean, don't back me up, but it's Ultra. I'd have a chat with Dean. Dean's all right.
No, I've met both of them in person. Dillian, I met in Brixton a few years ago, just in the middle of the day. He was incredibly rude and dismissive. I met Dean at the Lomachenko against Campbell Wayne. Had a good chat with him. My mate was over from New York. He was speaking about how much he loves New York. Everybody that came up and asked him pictures and stuff. Interestingly enough, he was with Spider Richards, and people weren't going up to Spider Richards asking for pictures. People asking Dean for pictures, but he was, very hospitable with his time and generous, and he was nice and respectful to everyone, and he took an interest in what they had to say. So my experience of Dean in person is that he's a very nice guy, and I've got no problems with him at all. It's more the people that go along with this and don't ask the questions and don't ask Dillian about it. Frankly, Dillian
absolutely
gets harmed.
And there's a lot, Riku, that people don't ask Dillian about, do they? And the reason why Dillian gets a pass is because Dillian's gonna roll people's heads, and that's why he gets a pass. It's got to be it. And there's so many questions about. Listen, there's so many questions for Dillian about the Rivas fight, the Wallin fight, Dean White, the things that he said about Anthony Joshua. I can come up with a list of questions all day to ask Dillian. But no one seems to want to ask him those questions. And I think people don't want to ask him because they know they're going to get their head rolled off. That's my opinion.
But that's the boxing media as a whole, because, people, just because Roy Keane was a difficult guy to deal with in the Premier League during his time, it didn't mean people didn't ask Roy Keane tough questions. I think boxing as a whole gets better when people are more transparent about what's going on, what's actually happened, and people are being held accountable. The reason why boxing is what it is because nobody gets held accountable for things they do wrong and, bad behaviors.
Can I just say, Ryan has come up with a question that I have to be honest, Ryan's probably right and I'm probably wrong on this. Ryan says, why do they need to ask Dillian? It has nothing to do with his boxing. I can't really argue with that. Maybe you're fair. Maybe that's right. I mean, the only thing I would say to that,
I think he does, because he pretends to be part of his team, right? I mean, look, if you were bringing in, Panama, what's the guy called? Panama, the guy that did the water bottle thing back in the day.
Panama Lewis.
Yeah, if you were bringing Panama Lewis into your boxing team, let's say AJ or somebody else, surely you'd ask this guy, like, what's going on? I think it's because it's to do with his boxing team, and he talks about him being part of his team. Then you'd ask him the same way how you ask about trainers or nutritionists, whether that's Greg Marriott or anybody else. I think it's fair game.
Ryan, can I ask you a question respectfully, Ryan? And you're welcome to call in, Ryan, and give your opinion if you wish to. I think the point you made was actually a very good point, to be honest. I was probably willing to concede to you on that, to be honest. But let me ask you, Ryan. Dean White, in his recent interviews, I'm going to try and get them up. But Dean White's giving interviews basically almost on behalf of Dillian, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
we've seen that, saying no comment, and
we've seen
talking
this,
about
yeah. Dean White's giving interviews basically on behalf of Dillian. So on that basis, and on the basis that Riku said, Ryan, do you still think okay, let me read your comment. Ryan says he is part of his team, but why Ryan, just pop on and have a chat with us. We'll have a chat with you, Ryan. Just hit the link, Ryan, and come on and have a chat. We'll have a talk with you. It's not a problem, Ryan. Hit the link, yeah, because I think you make some very, very, very good points.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Like I said before, listen, mate. Dean White, I want to make this clear. I think Dean White, like I said, him and Dillian, I'd have a drink with Dean White tomorrow. I think he represents. I think he represents himself, and I think he represents black people quite well. Because every time he's on IFL TV, especially with the Shane Fury stuff, what they want is Dean White to be the angry roadman. That's what they want him to be.
Yeah.
They want Dean White to be the angry, stereotypical roadman. Yeah. So they can. Do you know what I mean? So they can.
He's built a business out of this. He's doing his boxing shows, and he's giving young fighters opportunities. The shows seem to be doing quite well, and one of my mates went to both of the shows and knows him well personally. So I think everybody, as long as you're involved in boxing and you're doing something that contributes to giving fighters opportunities, I have no problem with that.
Ryan says he can't make it right now. It's fine, but Ryan, okay. I think your point's actually a good point. To be honest, maybe we do look into it a bit too much. To be honest, Ryan, if I had to go with it, I'd say Dillian has to be asked those questions. And the reason why
it's Dillian, not Dean. But I'd also say, Ryan, to your point, they do talk about being brothers, and they talk about growing up together and everything else. So I think if you've manufactured this lie, and you've gone as far as publicizing it, talking about it, and that becoming, the image of Dean White is based on the fact that he's Dillian's brother, then you can ask about growing up, and you can ask these other questions. It's like we asked Lee Froch a lot of questions back in the day. He was pissed most of the time, but, Lee Froch did front up.
I think my closing argument would be, if it's okay for Dillian to talk about other people's steroid use, cough, cough, then to me, it should be all right for us to ask these questions. Because let's be honest, and this is what I keep saying about Dillian. Let's be honest. I mean, am I right or am I wrong, Rico? I mean, he's dragged people's personal business into it loads of times. I mean, look, all I'll say is, I would say this. Listen, don't listen to me. Go and look up Dillian White's comments about Anthony Joshua. In the run-up to the Anthony Joshua Dillian White fight, look at Dillian White's comments on Anthony Joshua and certain situations. I think it's a very, very, very valid question. But I just want to quickly say, can I say one thing, Riku? Guys in the chat, guys in the chat, we've got 170. We haven't got enough likes. We've had about 170 all the way through the show and only 103 likes. I just want to quickly say something, guys. If somebody decides that they don't want to come on, or that they can't come on,
I was going to say the same point. Then don't be critical.
Can we not start saying that they're ducking and all this dumb shit? Because this is like the same. This is the same crap, yeah. These other idiots on these other places start doing. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's a coward. He's scared. He's a pussy. I really want to get. This is kind of the reason why I didn't want to do call-ins. Do you know what I mean? And why I don't do them often, because it gets into a whole kind of silliness thing. So let me just say this now: if somebody doesn't want to come off for whatever reason, it's their own thing. Yeah, there's no need to start castigating them in the comments. And if they want to come on here and start swearing like Wizard Sleeve, then that's a different story. Yeah, feel free. But if they just say, look, I can't or whatever, then take them at their word. Yeah, there's no need to hammer them for doing that. Carry on, Riku.
Yeah, and I think we should try and keep this as positive as possible. Like, I don't think anybody benefits from having arguments in the chat or, name calling or anything else. We're all here on a Sunday afternoon, giving our free time. So let's make it fun and enjoyable and constructive.
Riku, is there anything else that, if anybody's got a question for Riku, you can hit Ask Riku. We will ask out your questions. If you've got any questions, we go for an hour and a half. We're not going to go yet, but I think we're going to go in a bit. So we're here, we're there. If you want to ask questions, basically, if you want to talk about Brook versus Khan, any final thoughts? We're not really going to be talking about Brook versus Khan past Monday. I'm just trying to see here. If anybody else wants to talk about anything else to do with this, Riku, the only thing I'll say is I can't play the interviews. Obviously, if Rob T-Bert was still at Boxing Social, I'd be able to, because I'd actually ping Rob and say, Rob, is it all right if I use this? And Rob would say it's fine. But obviously, all right, Rob's no longer with Boxing Social anymore, so we don't know. But all I will say is this: in the recent interviews with Dean White, and this is what I'm saying. Dean White, if you look at his interviews with Boxing Social and Behind the Gloves, Riku, they don't engender any confidence in me whatsoever. I mean, this is a guy who is saying, I quote, he keeps saying, if the fight happens, I don't know, no comment. I mean, Dean White is given no indication whatsoever that this fight's on.
Although, if they are playing mind games, which I say a big if, then I understand why he's doing it. But I genuinely think no one knows what Dillian's thinking day to day. He seems like a pretty volatile character to me.
Brook versus Benn, what do you think, Abdul?
You know what? I think the level of where Kell Brook is now, I think it will be a close fight, which is a shame because Kell Brook is nowhere near where he was at his peak. But I still think it will be an intriguing fight. But I don't think Benn will get any credit for beating Kell Brook, and that's the problem. I mean, Benn needs to have fights where he gets credit for beating somebody. But I think, you know what, if Kell Brook turned up and he was in good shape and, he was 70% of what he used to be, then he should win that fight. But I genuinely don't think he's more than 60% of where he was before.
Crazy D3, is Taylor versus Catterall a mismatch? Can you believe they did a gloves are off for this shit? Taylor versus Catterall, the gloves are off. No joke.
I know, I mean, neither guy's that charismatic. I'd say on paper, it's no mismatch. I mean, Jack Catterall's 26-0. I can't really name a big win apart from O'Hara Davis that he has.
I thought he lost that, to be honest. I actually thought O'Hara nicked
I
that.
thought as well, yeah. I mean, he beat Tyrone Nurse and, Tyrone McKenna and stuff, but I think on paper it's no mismatch, but in reality it's going to be a big mismatch. I don't think it's an interesting fight. I don't think Jack Catterall has done enough to earn Lick's respect and think that he's a good fighter, but essentially they've just maneuvered him to get a big shot and a decent payday. We won't hear from Jack Catterall after this much.
Jesus. Let's have a look. Zumbanu Love says, does Riku think Matchroom has control over their social media staff? Matchroom were very quiet about the fight last night. Well, why would Matchroom promote last night's fight?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not promoting other people's products. I mean, you might have seen on Sky, Zumbano Love, that Sky aren't doing much coverage around his own shows. They'll do the occasional slip if there's a big fight, but generally Sky haven't been doing that. And Sky never used to do that on BT stuff. And I think we don't have many websites. I look at Boxing Scene every so often, but we don't have many sort of major platforms that cover boxing holistically. Where Sky would cover the Premier League holistically, even if the games were on BT Sports, but we don't see that. Sky pretend boxing doesn't exist outside it, and BT do to an extent the same, and Zone definitely do the same.
Oh my God. Fraser Clark versus Kamil Solakowski. Did you see this? Let me get this picture up. What do you think about that is a very, very first opponent for Fraser? I know it's his first pro fight. So
he was a late replacement. So there's a few things to this. I think number one, in boxing, we talk about steroid use and how dangerous that is. But for me, it's more dangerous getting these kind of opponents against Olympians. I think that's much more dangerous. He was a last-minute replacement, but one of the problems that we have with Brexit is that we can't get fighters from Europe on working visas as quickly as we could before. So essentially, we are left with having our own journeyman or last-minute replacements that are taking these calls. So back in the day, a few years ago, you could have dragged somebody from Eastern Europe that was quite durable and a lot better and more experienced to fight against Fraser Clark. And they would have had a pool of these guys that they use. But now they need to give enough advance warning to sort out the paperwork and working visa and everything else. So I think we'll get more and more of these kind of mismatches if fighter pulls out, just because we don't have the same pool of guys that we can rely on.
Mark Statton says, do you think Fraser Clark goes all the way?
Look, potentially. I mean, he's obviously transitioned over. I think he's in that wave of heavyweights where he'd be fighting against the likes of Joker, Hergovic, Dubois, others. I think it's just really hard to judge at this stage. But, you know, he's a professional and he's got a good setup in Loughborough. So I personally think that he has the potential, but it's so early to judge at the moment.
Ryan O'Rourke's asking about Callum Smith at 170. Listen, the only time I want to see Callum Smith back in the ring again is if he's fighting Bertabayev and Bivol at the same time. Other than that, I never want to see this man in the ring again. But Riku, Callum Smith at 175. I'm going to answer after you.
I think he just gave up all of his advantages by moving up,
Exactly.
and I think I don't think at 175 that's suited for him. It's such a big.
He's gonna get absolutely fucking smashed. Callum Smith, with all due respect, is and you can say the same about Kell Brook. These guys are weight bullies. Do you know what I mean? These guys are guys who are bigger and stronger at everybody, and they use their physical attributes. But he won't be using any of that at 175. And you see how he went into his shell against Canelo. Hold on, you see how he went into his shell against Canelo, yeah? When Canelo was laying on him. Imagine what happens when you put him in there with someone like Bertabayev. Oh my God.
I think the other thing is 175 is a European division predominantly. So a lot of the good fighters are from Europe and they technically sound boxers. And that's what Callum Smith is. And Callum Smith isn't as sound as some of these Eastern European boxers.
Hold on. Crazy D3 says Callum Smith beats Buatsi.
You know what? With Buatsi, I just don't know these days how good he is.
Riku, where are these guys? Where are Buatsi, Joe Cordina, Josh Kelly? Where are these guys? Have you seen them?
No. I mean, Buatsi had his fight pulled from the card, but we don't know when his next fight is.
I'd like to see Joe Cordina out again. I think he's one of the most talented fighters in this country. I think he's a fucking great fighter.
He's a good fighter, but I don't know. I mean, Eddie used to sign fighters based on regions, and he has nothing in Wales at the moment. So
yeah,
he's probably going to put him in another London show. I think I saw Cordina was on the undercard of, was it Taylor against Prograis? I was watching him fight on that at the O2, and he looked good, but I just don't think Eddie knows what to do with him.
Oh dear, I'm telling you, Ryan O'Rourke, I'm not sure about Callum Smith, but if he does win one, I'm not sure. I'm not a believer in Callum Smith. I'm not a believer in Callum Smith's technique. Ryan, all I'll say is this. I don't think Callum Smith beat John Ryder, in all honesty. I think John Ryder beat Callum Smith by a distance in that fight. And I think the only reason why Callum Smith got the decision is because they were going to push him into a fight with Canelo Alvarez. And I think when you're having problems with somebody as small, John Ryder's not 168 pounds. We know that, Riku. John Ryder's not 168 pounds. And you're having problems handling someone like John Ryder, and you're getting bashed up in a fight like that. To me, like I said, the writing's on the wall when he steps up. But we'll find out. And if I'm wrong, Ryan, you can come on and you can have a good laugh at me there. Let's have a look. Josh Kelly left Matchroom and went to Wasserman Sauerlands. Not heard anything else. Can I ask you a question, Riku? Quickly?
Did he go to Wasserman or did he go to Sky? I can't remember.
Well, one of the two. Let me ask you about Calla Sauerland. I know this guy's a bit of a cult hero, Riku, but I've seen Calla Sauerland in some recent interviews, and he looks on the edge of death. He looks dreadful. Let me see if I can get one of his. I mean, he looks. I mean, I know people like, yeah. I've always said, right, Calla Sauerland is the guy that Eddie Hearn tries to pretend to be. Right? I've always said that Calla Sauerland is the guy that Eddie thinks he or tries to. Like Calla Sauerland can fight. His brother was an amateur boxer. Is it Nisa? Yeah. Nisa was an amateur boxer. Calla trains. He's either boxed or trained. He's in good. If you look at Calla's in physically.
He's in good nick.
He's in good nick. Calla goes to the gym. Calla. I think Calla has a spar. Calla hit the bag. Calla Sauerland is basically everything that Eddie Hearn pretends to be. He's a legit like a mob boss type guy. Plenty of women. Plenty of you know what, like Calla is actually that guy. Like, you know, Calla's the guy. He's not pretending to be an amateur boxer and nobody can find his record and nobody has any record of this guy. And Calla's the guy. But I'm not joking. I mean, if you look at him in some of these recent interviews, this one in particular with IFL TV, and I tell you what, there has to be, in my opinion, some kind of intervention because he looks absolutely dreadful. He looks awful. And seriously, I'm actually worried about him.
Do you think Willie and Nissa should, congregate in the living room and say, Calais, enough is enough. You can't continue going like this.
The thing about Calais is, right, what I think's made, I don't know if it's made it worse, but everybody knows what's going on with Calais, right? And Calais knows what's going on. And it's a bit of a running joke, isn't it? Calais knows, everybody knows what's going on with Calais. Calais knows everybody knows what's going on with Calais. And it's becoming a bit of a running joke. And Calais a boss and Calais a lad and all this kind of stuff. But, like, I'm not being funny. Like, this guy, what is he, in his 50s now, Calais, yeah? Like, he needs... Yeah, he's in his 50s. Like, he does need now, seriously, in my opinion, he needs a bit of a helping hand now because you can't keep doing that stuff, yeah? And you can't keep living in that fucking way when you're like 50, 60. So I'm just saying, like, he really does, in my opinion, like, because it's all fun and games until we hear that, something's happened to him. All that he's
heart attack, and then we get all
well, I mean, just look at the state of this dude. I mean, I've had a few problems myself, and I look at him and I'm like, Jesus, sorry, it's bad.
It is bad. It is bad. I don't think people should be egging it on. I mean, it's a bit like poverty. It's like petty porn in the sense that we're laughing at somebody who's going through something quite bad at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's you want to, he needs to get himself right. Smart Surf said, Riku, did you think last night's fight lived up to expectations?
I think it did. I went to a pub with a mate that's a casual to watch it. There was lots of people watching it. I thought the fact that they didn't just box and do petty patty stuff, that there was a bit of drama in there. I think Khan was probably, it was a shame to see Khan at that level, but you know what, we got a conclusive victory. It wasn't one of those fights where it happens too late and nothing happens in the fight, and the fight was memorable enough. So I think it did, and I thought it was a good event, and actually I was quite glad that Eddie Hearn had no involvement.
Well, I paid for it because he had no involvement. You know about Chris Congo, I don't. Yeah. Josh Kenny versus Chris Congo.
It's going to be an awful fight to watch, but both are quite technical and neither a big puncher. I think I'd favour Josh Kelly. He's just got better fundamental.
Ben Shalom overtaking. Eddie Hearn says Ben Shalom's taking over. If Ben Shalom's taking over, so am I. Straight up.
I don't have much confidence in Ben Shalom, but
Jesus Christ. Yeah, not at all. I mean, the guys are. Well, he needs to. Well, I was going to say something there, but yeah, I think. Well,
he's probably negotiated Dillian White's contract as we speak.
Frank Warren will probably get a call from him tomorrow. At what's end of business? 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock? What's end of business?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. I'd imagine Frank will be getting a call from Ben Shalom at about 4:55, isn't it? Fucking hell. It is what it is. All right, Riku. All right, final thoughts and then we're out here.
Make sure everybody likes and subscribes. Thank you for those that called in and were respectful. It's always good to engage here and good to have a chat with you, Ultra. Let's keep an eye out on what happens in the next 24 hours. And we'll be back soon. Let's see. My money is on White not accepting the deal as it stands.
Riku's got White not to accept. We'll have to wait and see, Riku. Okay, Riku. We'll wait and see. And like I said, if you want to pop in tomorrow, if shit hits the fan, then we're welcome to.
I'll be there if the shit hits the fan. I'll be there. All right, mate. Take care. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.